Welcome all, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I'm Sarah da Costa. I'm the assistant professor here at ISCED Luanda and also professor of Sociolinguistics, and English is a foreign language. So as you all know, today we gather here to have a seminar on sociolinguistics. As you can see, the topic there, Languages in Multilingual Societies. So that's our topic today for our seminar, and we have been organizing this seminar with my students, and they are here already, and I have never heard about sociolinguistics. The object of study of sociolinguistics is the relationship, as I mentioned before, between these two aspects, linguistic variations and social structure. So linguistic variation is basically the different ways, the different variations of a language. We know that English is a global language, right? And we are not talking about the world of Englishes. So we have different varieties of English. So how do these different varieties of English function in a society? How do the different varieties of Portuguese function within the society? And this implies having different social factors, right? So this is basically what we have been discussing throughout our lectures, and today we'll be focusing on how languages function within multilingual societies or communities. So feel yourself at home, be welcomed, and we are going to start with the first group, which will be focusing on migrant minorities. Round of applause for these great students.
Is a group of people who come from one place from one society to another, where they come as migrant minority, they go to a migrant majority. So they find a big community and it's hard for them. In this case, I'm done for now, and I'll give the opportunity to my classmates to keep on speaking about the topic, because this topic is really interesting for all of us as English students. Thank you.
Do you learn the process in which is something that we find people moving from one country to another? We have many factors in which it influences this process. And I will tell you some examples which can help you to understand well how this process happens. At Vienna, completely established, we have then many Senegalese peoples. They come from our country. Reasons finding the best condition of their life. While they are living in our country, they used to speak when they are among them or of the common language which is spoken in their country. But when they are in the business process, they used to speak in Portuguese, because they really know that the client, when they come from them, it could be better to speak Portuguese, because the process will be easily to negotiate. Well, this context shows us that people they can move from one country to another for many reasons. As my classmate says,
Afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to listen for your voice. Afternoon, everyone. Are you fine? Are you fine? Okay, that's good. I'm also fine. I'm going to keep talking about migrant minorities, the second example of our word. But now I'm going to give an example using the single proton. We all know that proton moved from Wambo to Luanda. He has a dream to become a singer, alright? And then he didn't know how to speak Portuguese. So, at first, he decided to join into a community who speak Ubuntu. And that period that we stayed with those people who speak Ubuntu, he was working at the ferry merchants has a wheelbarrow, and he decided to learn Portuguese in order to communicate using this language. Protono didn't know how to speak Portuguese, and he intended to be a singer. And he became a migrant minority because of what? Because he moved to Luanda.
Welcome. Thank you. As my mates have already presented, I'm going to contextualize in ELT how we can, as a teacher, help in this context. How can we, as English teachers, help a linguistic minority language be alive or untamed? Okay? First of all, as a teacher, we can help to use the students' L1 as a bridge, not as a barrier. It means, suppose that you are teaching present perfect, okay? Instead of you starting with the structures, rules, and much more, you can start by asking, how can we say, I have cut my finger, or myself, I've broken my phone in your local languages?
Migrant minorities. Did you capture it? Any questions, comments, feedback, contributions? Welcome.
My question is about exclusion and inclusion. How do Proton feel when we are seeing our brothers and sisters coming from the soft part? Kwanza Norte, Kwanza Sul.
We cannot confuse relation and exclusion, because in this process, of course, there are some limitations, because we cannot communicate as we do, but it does not mean that we are the one is only inside of us.
Okay, the first step is to not discriminate. I think this is the main issue here, because when people because we're talking about migrant minority, it means that they are a minority, it's a minority group, okay, that has migrated to another community. And if that new community speaks another language, so they will be forced because of different social factors, okay, and we're going to look at further factors that contribute to this, to language shift, okay. I don't spoil things here, but because of these factors, we need to welcome them and avoid discrimination. Okay, so that's what social linguistics is all about. Being aware of these aspects so that we as a society, as professionals, we are English teachers and future English teachers, we need to be aware of this.
Mama,
Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon, teacher.
You good today?
Yes, teacher.
Very good. So, today we are going to present a very interesting topic. If you ever heard about greetings, we are going to learn about greetings. We are going to learn about to greet in English. So, repeat after me. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Very good. Now,
carambas! A minha fazenda está precisando de funcionários. Preciso de candidatos ou segurança. Segurança! Traga os candidatos agora, por favor. Quem são esses pretos que convidei? Segurança! Quem é esse que convidou? Quais são os candidatos? Nós só vamos aceitar pessoas que falam apenas português. Português fluente. Olha, o que é que disse? Segurança, tirem ela aqui. Tirem ela aqui. Tirem ela aqui. Tirem ela. Oh, fala assim.
Eu sou licenciado. Estudar foi lá.
Olha o que disse. Certíssimo! É esse tipo de pessoa que precisamos aqui. Claro, mas como é que é possível? 500 anos a colonizar esta terra. Esses pretos não aprendem português. Ai, crânios, que brincadeira é essa?
It happened in the street. So this is merely the contextualization of non-migrant communities in the Angola country, which has the Portuguese as a dominant language. So indeed.
Thank you. Non-migrant communities and migrant majority.
First, I want to say that I really enjoyed the presentation. That was pretty bombastic, right? So I got to patience with you.
Thank you for your question. One of the most important steps that we can take to protect our local language.
Teaching English at schools,
Yes.
whether it is hot.
When we find that it's non-migrant communities or migrant majority.
It's clear. Thank you so much. A round of applause again for the second year. We move on to the next group. Language debt and language loss.
Generation. For example, when we came in Luanda province, we can find many people that they understand Kimbondo.
This of language death. Well, a lot has been said about the concepts and types of language death and language loss. But what are the causes of language death? Campbell, 1994, includes the following factors responsible for language death: discrimination, repression, rapid population collapse, lack of economic opportunities, ongoing industrialization, rapid...
Summarize that language death is not merely language death it's not merely language loss, because when students or people stay in this situation, they don't lose only words, they lose identity, they lose knowledge, they lose traditions. And then we as the teachers, we have to know that we may find students with different situations in our classroom, and that we have to use different methods in order to help students to understand a new language that they may find in our classroom.
Well, both aspects are considered as a language death. When someone loses their skills, not completely the language, it's a language death. It's a language loss. And when someone loses the proficiency in their native language completely, it is also a language loss. It is not a language death because language death happens when the last speakers of a certain language die, meaning that the language is dead. But when there are still some people speaking language, but one of them loses the skill of speaking their native language, then that is a language loss.
If a person travels to another country, for example, an Englishman travels to France, where the official language is French, and he lives there for a long time, is he experiencing a language death or a language loss?
In this case, whether somebody travels to France and he's from England, for example, and he's traveled to France, by being exposed to French on a daily basis, his skill set in terms of English will decline. So in this situation, he can face language loss. It doesn't necessarily mean that by being in France, he will lose the language, but he can experience language loss if he doesn't keep speaking the language for a long time. That's what can happen.
He's asking whether we have language debt.
But I well, just to add what my mate has said, in fact, we don't have
situation of language death in Angola. We don't have a situation of language death in Angola. What we face here is language loss. Language loss. You know, when it comes to culture, our local languages have been put aside due to the official language we speak on a daily basis. So this is what happens in Angola.
Thank you. A round of applause. Now we'll move on to the fifth group. Topic. Factors contributing to language shift.
So, first, we should know that Angola has a linguistic diversity, and our communities are multilingual, as our country has many indigenous languages.
Language shift is mainly influenced by social, economic, political, demographic, educational, as well as cultural factors. Communities are most likely to shift language when they move to an area where another language is dominant, or for a better employment, business, educational opportunity, or testing. While in most cases, the original language is no longer transmitted to younger generations. Thank you for the appreciation.
À partir de l'école primaire.
Ah, mais si tu es
Et jusqu'à l'université. C'est pourquoi je suis devenu ce que je suis aujourd'hui. Nous sommes devenus des hommes.
Meus senhores, calma aí, atenção, com todas vocês, irmão. Não está a falar bem que você está a tentar alistar ao comportamento, vamos ter calma, ok? Então você não tem que ouvir o papai também vai te ouvir, ok? Sim, papai, quem conseguiu o papai está habilitado?
Je donne.
Mas você tinha visto? Tem que ter calma.
Je donne. J'ai dit.
Papai, Deus está falando agora. Papai fala só na minha língua, para eu também poder entender. Ele vai falar para nós nos enterramos aqui, papai.
Já trabalhador, Paris, é o único conceito que pode dar.
Mas, velho, peço mesmo minha sincera desculpa. Obrigado pelo conselho. Eu pensei que estavas a falar sobre a língua franca. Não ia falar sobre a língua franca. Pensei que também poderia falar sobre a língua franca. Muito obrigado.
Okay, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, you are all welcome. We are going to talk about lingua franca. We are going to explain here about lingua franca. Let's have attention, please.
What we saw here in this presentation, we can simplify to two basic words according to sociolinguistics. And these two basic words are lingua franca. Lingua franca is a common language that people use to talk to each other when they don't have the same native language.
All the language are lingua franca because I can use any language that I speak to connect with some people who speak the same language. Okay, thank you so much for.
Actually, a lingua franca is a language that plays a role like a bridge. For example, if you saw what we did there, I was not able to speak French with Mr. Zingalund, okay? And I was speaking Umbondi. And Portuguese in between us was playing the role of lingua franca.
Standard language, they often ensure linguistic or national unity because a shared language can promote the sense of belonging and a unique language can also ensure a cultural identity that is easier for everyone to adjust to it.
As CLT students and English teachers, how should we regard this issue? First of all, I want to congratulate my mate. Well, as we know, rules are everywhere. The way we sit, the way we eat, and also the way
we work. Everything that we can take, I think, is control. Language also is controlled and it is normalized. And this style of the language that is normalized is called standard language.
It requires codification in terms of grammar development, spelling, books, and determinants. So in reality, it is really important for teachers to be aware that when we take into account the standard languages, we enable our learners to master the grammar accurately, as well as some other aspects of language structure. So it's also instrumental concept of standard language. We have to understand what is a standard language. A standard language is a variety of language that is officially accepted and widely used in formal situations such as education, government, media, and writing. So here we have to take into account some key concepts like education, government, media, and writing. Education. In schools, normally we use the standard language. The standard language is the language used at school. The students, they have to know the rules of the language that they are going to use. So, teachers in the school, they teach using the standard form or the standard variety. In the government, in the administration too, the government decides to use the standard language because that's a norm, a rule that everybody should follow. Then the standard language is also used by the government and media too. As you know, if you watch television or if you read a newspaper, you are going to see that normally they use the standard variety too.
Down.
And for writing,
I raise the crown of Jesus so that I can lower the world's toil in the village and in town. Eu sou embaixador de Cristo neste mundo despedaçado pelas marteladas do pecado. Com Cristo acima de tudo, é o embaixador do ser humano em todo lado. Je suis ambassadeur de Christ. Dans un monde en crise et triste, on va fleurir partout des raisons, de joie et de délivrance. Dans ma bouche pleine d'amour, je suis ambassadeur de Christ. Nas minhas mãos, germinam uvas, e no leito dos meus beiços, correm riachos de libertação tridimensional. Eu sou embaixador. É o embaixador do órfão e da viúva com paixão. Pratico o amor de Cristo. Faço disso a minha cristalina religião. Eu sou embaixador. Eu sou embaixador de Cristo. A ninguém cunde angana Jesus. A mingala no menga ya mweio pudicano.
we have their language. As we know, language a key of communication. Practically, there isn't communication without language. It's with language that we communicate. So, having vernacular language, it refers to the natural way.
One is regional variation and dialects, and the last one is rich oral traditions. Starting to the first one, I would like to say that native usage from birth. This helps people express emotion, thought, and identity more naturally, and it is learned from birth. The second one is I can take example for many African communities use their vernacular languages to during traditional ceremony and wedding.
Indigenous language. The second one is dialect language. The third one is Creole language. And the last one is Pidgin language. For example, Portuguese from Brasilia and Portuguese from Portugal. If you see, we're gonna see differences between them, even in grammar as well to pronunciation as well. Oh, I can have national, an example for Angola's language. Or for example, Kimbundu from Malange and Kimbundu from Bengal. So,
I will keep on talking about our topic, vernacular language. My focus will be on vernacular language in the Angolan context, but I would like to highlight some aspects of a vernacular language. Let me say that the term vernacular is used in a number of ways. I think that the first one, or the generally one, my colleagues have already mentioned it.
They can go to those places that Portuguese is not spoken, so that they can instruct those children in their language. For example, in Iwamo province, they can choose a place where the children speak their local language anymore. And in Umbundu we say that which means that if you do something now, you are thinking that no one, something will not happen anything, but over time you will see the results.
I'll be hosting this presentation today. I know you might be a little bit tired, but anyway, I got a good news. This is the last group, so you are going back home soon. So our topic for today is about Pidgin and Creole. And my question is, what's going to happen in case you don't have a lingua franca, but you have to communicate anyway? So that's what our topic is about. And then we spoke about, other colleagues, they spoke about lingua franca, and now we are just like keeping on, because connecting that, we are talking about Pidgin and Creole.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Well, starting from the bottom, a Pidgin is a simple language created when people from different language groups need to communicate urgently. A Pidgin often appeared in colonial plantations, trading ports, or labor camps. The word Pidgin probably came from a Chinese mispronunciation of a word business. At first, Pidgin have no native speakers, and adults mainly use Pidgins at work, to trade, or to give instructions. Pidgins are usually simple. They have a small vocabulary and limited grammar. For example, in a language, Tokpizin says "me go asde" for "I went yesterday," which literally means "I go yesterday." I went yesterday, which literally means "I go yesterday." And sounds in Pidgin are also simplified. So,
well, this is Agostinho talking to you right now. Agostinho Miguel talking to you, and I would like to keep the presentation going by now talking about Creole. Well, as my classmates already explained it, they did it well, and also I have to salute the last group for that explanation. Well, linguistics says that normally a language, it is affected or it progresses according to the social needs. And when two people that come from different perspective or different region, and also they have different linguistic competence and different linguistic background, they want to interact, but they want to have a communication. So it is important that the concepts like lingua franca and the Pidgin, as my classmate explained, emerge. But what if we want to understand that a child that learn a pidgin as their first language, or they learn as their mother tongue. So how do we explain this phenomenon? Well, when a child learn a pidgin as their first language or mother tongue, we are talking about the concept of Creole. So what is Creole? Creole is when children are exposed naturally by a pidgin and they start to learn it in their first language or mother tongue. For example, let's say Haitian Creole. Haitian Creole is the contact of French colonizer language and also some African slave language. So it produced a Haitian Creole that over the years has been taught by kids and learners that they start talking about this language as their first and mother language.
Let's talk about dress. You didn't put on your pajama to come here, and normally you don't wear a three-piece suit to go to bed, which means that your outfit has to match with where you are going, the location. And this happens also with language. Sometimes Creole exists also with English language, because the standard language has higher social status, and the Creole may start becoming closer to it. And this process is called decreolization. When this happens, we have different levels on what linguists call language continuum.
Remain with us until the end. Big ups to you. A round of applause for everyone, please. For my courageous students, for the brilliant presentation, and even the drama, the poem. So we are going to continue with our next event, and I already announced that in our classes. But I also want to announce it to the audience in general that we are going to have a debate, because my students like debating, and I told them that we will prepare a debate on social linguistics on the topics that we have been discussing in class. So please stay tuned to our to my social media platform, because we don't have a specific social media for a social media account for social linguistics, but you can follow me and everything in the course. I know most of you already know my account. I will be updating on that, so please stay tuned. We'll be having hot topics, hot debates here, because my students like debating. They really love. And one of them said that they don't like debating, but they like, what was the word? I now lose it here. What did he say?
To kill other people's opinion.
They like
to kill other people's opinion.
They like killing other people's opinions. So let's see them killing each other here live.
Yeah, I know that.
And we can continue with the discussion for those who would like, and networking. Thank you so much.